Hey, Cookie. Hey, cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookie's Cacti. And today I thought I would show you my caudiciform plants that I have in my little plant family. Now, I don't have a very impressive collection of caudiciforms, but these are the ones that I have. They take up a lot of space, so as much as I love them, I just can't have too many of them. But I'll show you what I have. So I have about 6 adeniums, or desert roses, and then I have a Pseudobombax ellipticum, 1 Bursera, and a Cyphostemma juttae. So let me just go through each one of them. So my first desert rose or adenium ever was this one back here. This one I bought from Home Depot before I knew anything about plants. So very early on, I would say after I got Tom, my totem pole cactus, shortly after that I found myself at Home Depot all the time, and so I bought this desert rose, which is probably an Adenium obsesum, so the one in this glazed green pot here. And oh my goodness, it was a learning experience with her. I definitely have pictures of when I got this adenium, so maybe I'll put a picture right here next to it so you can see what it looked like when I got it. So I probably bought it in late summer, early fall of 2020. So it's been almost 2 years and she's still alive, which is awesome. She flowers these beautiful, like almost black, blood red flowers. So I'll put a picture of that up as well so you can see what it looked like. But when I got her and I brought her back and I watered her, the first thing she did was the leaves turned brown and dropped. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's gonna die. And it was such a diva, but it turned out I learned from her, or it, that I can't use water from inside my house to water plants because my water is softened, so it has salt in it. So she taught me an extremely important lesson really early on in my plant keeping hobby. So I guess it was really good that this plant did that. Taught me a lesson and it kept living. So you can see, I'm going to keep calling her a she even though it's not a she, but it's doing very nicely. So obesums are more cold sensitive. They will lose all their leaves in the winter. And so when she starts dropping her leaves, I will be cutting down on watering. And then in the winter time, I will keep her usually somewhere where she won't get rained on. And once all the leaves are dropped, I just stop watering. And I wait until usually in the springtime when the new leaves start to grow out, then I'll start watering again. And I also do pruning at that time as well. Like basically, I think as soon as it starts to show signs of growth, I will prune. I don't know if that's right or wrong. That's just how I do it. Let's see. I moved one plant away. Let me show you what that was. So this is a very special plant. This is a Dorset horn adenium. And it's called Dorset horn because you can see that the leaves are curled. And the way that they're curled is like the horns of the Dorset horn sheep. When my mom looks at this, she's like, that looks like it has bugs on it. It's sick and that's why it's curled. But actually, I don't know if it's a mutation or like a genetic thing that causes the leaves to grow like this. But I think that this might be an obesum with this trait. So this one also drops all of its leaves in the winter time. But you can see, I bought this from a local grower here in Chandler. He had a sale going on and I walked in his backyard and this one caught my eye. I didn't even know what it was. I just liked the shape of it. You can see how cool the trunk is. This one gives me signs of when it's thirsty because if I squeeze almost like a leg there, if I squeeze the trunk, it will have give and it gives me the sign that, oh, I'm thirsty. I'll mention now that the substrate that these adeniums, except for the Home Depot obesum, everything else is planted in a super gritty, chunky mix that you can see here. There's a bunch of coarse pumice, coco coir. It's planted in mostly tanks green stuff for a cactus. I don't know if really that using this kind of soil is really necessary, but I'm on a Facebook group for Adenium lovers and plant keepers in the Phoenix area, and they all recommended using that. So I think it was like maybe last summer or some point I switched over to tanks green stuff. It just dries out really fast, so I have to water these guys in the summertime every other day, sometimes every day when it's really hot and they're just drying out really quick. So next to that I have an Adenium arabicum. This I purchased along with the Dorset horn Adenium from that local grower in Chandler. I have pictures of both of these when I first got them, so I can show you. You can see how much they've grown. So arabicum I think are more cold tolerant. They tend to keep their leaves longer than the obsesum do when winter rolls around. Some of them won't even lose their leaves, like all of them in the winter time. But in the winter I'll move all of the adeniums into a space that is protected from rain. And then I can control if I water them or not. And if they lose all their leaves, I stop watering. So this is really cool. This one has not flowered for me yet. Oh, maybe let me keep this down. I have another Adenium in the back here. This one I got from Plants for the Southwest. It is labeled Adenium arabicum hybrid big boy. And I have a picture of this one also when I got it, and it has grown quite a bit. Okay, let me talk about there's two more Adeniums to go. So here's another Adenium. It might be arabicum as well. I have a picture of this one too when I first got it. I'll give you a picture. Behind it, I have an Adenium socotrannum. And look how funny it is. It's like one long stem, and it's just starting to come out of dormancy, and it's August. But I was excited to see, you can see there's some leaves. Let me see if I can zoom in. Kind of hard to see, but I'll do it like this. There are some new leaves growing out the top of it, and I've heard that socotrannum tend to come out of dormancy way later than the other Adeniums, but for a long time it was just a naked stem, and I had no idea if it was alive or not. But when it got warm, even without water, I would just lightly water it when I would water the other guys. So that's all the Adenium I have. The next plant I'll show you, or my caudiciforms, is a Pachypodium densiflorum. This one I got from Plants for the Southwest. Oh, by the way, the socotrannum is also from Plants for the Southwest. And I also have a picture of this plant, the Pachypodium, when I first got it. Put it here. And it is potted in a gel and ceramics pot. You see some of the leaves are dropping. This Pachypodium is also nice because it also gives me clues as to when it's thirsty. This one happens to not be completely covered, or the trunk is not completely covered in thorns, so I can actually touch it. And when I squeeze the trunk, when it has give, it's ready for a drink. The cool thing, if I can get in there to show you, is that the top of it is branching into 3 branches. Let's see if we can see that. It's gonna be really hard to see. Not sure if you can see it, but there's actually, the trunk is branching off into 3. This Pachypodium caught my eye because of its leaves. When it was smaller, the leaves almost looked like an Adenium's leaves, so that was interesting. I really love this Pachypodium. It's the only one I have in my little plant family. So the next caudiciform I have is really a tree. It's a Pseudobombax ellipticum. Let me try to zoom in. It's this little guy right here, planted in a Thompson Clayworks pot. Let me see if I can zoom in on its little trunk. It's fattened up quite nicely over time. I've had this probably for about a year or so. Purchased it at Arizona Cactus Sales, and the grower was Matt from AZX Plants. It's doing nicely. In the winter time, it completely drops all of its leaves. I also have a picture of a huge Pseudobombax ellipticum that was at Arizona Cactus Sales. I think they have since moved it to its new location, so if you go to the nursery now, you won't be able to see it, but when they open up their new space, you should be able to see it. But this is a very tiny version of that. And then I have over here a Bursera laxiflora in a beautiful wooden pot. I think it's from Cactus Boxes. I'll put the Instagram handle below so you can see who made these. He makes really beautiful wooden planters. So Bursera laxiflora, which I know nothing about, it's a tree, and I don't know if I have a picture of this or not, but if I do, of when I got it, I'll put it up. I was at Arizona Cactus Sales with my mom, and this plant caught her eye, so I brought it home. And this one was also grown by Matt from AZX Plants, and you can see it's grown. It's literally a little tree. Next to that, I have a Cyphostemma juttae that I got from Plants for the Southwest. I took my parents to Tucson last summer, and on the way to wherever our destination was, we stopped at Plants for the Southwest, and they bought this for me as a gift for driving that day. And I don't know if I have a picture of this one, but if I do, I'll put it up. It has grown quite a bit as well. So those are all my caudiciforms, and caudiciform meaning that known for their caudex or their trunk, and most of these, I doubt all of these, but most of these are able to hold water in their trunk. The Adeniums for sure, the Pachypodium for sure, and the Cyphostemma. So they have succulence to them. I forgot a few more caudiciforms to show you. I have some Dorstenia. Here's a Dorstenia. I think it's foetida. I don't know how to pronounce it. And I have another one back here. There's another one. Dorstenia foetida. These were given to me as a gift when I was at Plants for the Southwest last summer. These things, when they seed, they just spray their seeds everywhere. So any greenhouse that has Dorstenia in it, you'll see babies or seedlings growing all over the place as volunteers in pretty much every other pot. And I think they had a whole bunch of them that showed up, and so they just gave these to me for free, and I've managed to keep them alive. And then I have one more Dorstenia. It looks a little bit sad, but it's alive because you can see there are some new leaves coming out. This is a Dorstenia gigas that I got from Plants for the Southwest. Most likely is a little cutting. This is one of my dream plants. I'm always a little bit worried about these leafy greens in where I live because it's so hot and dry, and I don't know if they'll do okay or not, but obviously some of them are doing absolutely fine. So I'm going to water everything except for the Pachypodium, because the Pachypodium, I had squeezed its trunk and it doesn't have any give, so I'm going to leave that one alone. But I did squeeze the Dorset horn Adenium to squeeze one of its leg, and it did have give, so I'm going to go ahead and use that as a representative of all the Adeniums, and I'm going to water everybody. So I'll have pot of water, rainwater. I'll show you in a second, maybe at the end, how I'm collecting rainwater. It's a highly scientific method of collecting rainwater, and I literally just do this. Here's my highly scientific way of watering too. Literally just dumping water on them. So once again, in the summertime, they take quite a bit of water. Almost, some people water their adeniums every day. I water maybe once every other day to every 2 days. Sometimes I forget, or I'm too lazy to come out, or it's too hot and I don't. Let's do the juttae, Cyphostemma. Get the Bursera. And I just soak it while the water is running out the bottom of the pots. Let's do the Pseudobombax ellipticum. I think I'm so focused on watching where I'm watering that my camera's wandering off, but I'll go through one more round of watering one more time just to make sure I soak it nicely. Oh look, there's a flower bud developing on the obsesum. This one flowers quite nicely every year for me, and because when it goes completely dormant in the winter, I leave it outside, but maybe like a little greenhouse there, I'll put the plastic back on to keep rain out. And when it goes through like a proper dormancy period, then it seems to flower quite nicely the next year. So those are my caudiciforms: Adenium, Pachypodium, Dorstenia, Pseudobombax ellipticum, Bursera, laxiflora, and a Cyphostemma juttae. So thanks for joining me today. I will talk to you all very soon. Take care. Bye. This is my highly scientific way of capturing rainwater. So a lot of homes in Arizona don't have gutters. So when it rains, the water just runs off of the roof, as you can see. So I have 5 20-gallon garbage cans basically sitting underneath that roof runoff, and it just collects water. So that's how I collect rainwater. And I use the rainwater to water a lot of my plants when I can. Rainwater, it's not even about saving water. This is about getting that nice pH that plants tend to like.